With Powered Paragliding news and reviews at Beach Blast 2011. I am with Mark Renkins, Captain Mark Renkins of the Palm Bay Police Department, who has put paramotors to a unique use. Tell us how you fly these craft and how, first off, start with, how did you get into it?
We have a rural area in Palm Bay, and I was actually out patrolling and saw people paramotoring. I was interested in it, and I walked up and I talked to them, and that was my first introduction to powered paragliding.
Did they think you were kicking them off the field?
They did. They thought I was there with bad news. Unfortunately, I wasn't. And then I got to know some of those people, and then one thing led to another, and I started flying recreationally about 3 years ago.
Okay. So you started, did you help get the program started?
I did. What happened in a nutshell is the police department was actually looking at UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, for surveillance and photos and things like that. At the time we were looking at them, which was about 4 years ago, the FAA said law enforcement cannot use those, only military. Oh. So with that, after I got into this sport, we went and asked the chief what his purpose was for the UAVs, and he told us what I just told you. And I said, well, we fly these paramotors that can essentially do the same thing. We can take photographs, we can do surveillance, we can take video, whatever you need. We told them there's definitely limitations on it. We didn't sell it as an aviation unit. It can't do what a helicopter does. It can't do what a plane does, but there's some use for it. So what we did was we teamed up with certain manufacturers. Currently it's Parajet, who loaned us equipment for the pilot project until the end of the year. So far we haven't had to invest any money in equipment, only time and maintenance and insurance and operating costs.
Are they all foot launch?
We have one foot launch, we have one trike, which, by the way, I would like to mention Chad Bastian from Trike Buggy also loaned us a trike buggy until the end of the year, and we have that on now. We just got 2 pilots trained on that, and we have a 3rd being trained on it soon.
Okay, and how's the training? I mean, are you training people who already had some interest, or are these other officers that just showed an interest?
These are other officers that showed an interest. We've only had one other person who was an actual airplane pilot, and he's been very valuable to us, because after this program got going with the paragliding, the NIJ, the National Institute of Justice, is doing a similar program on a federal level, but they're testing sport light aircraft for law enforcement use. When they saw that what we were doing, they reached out to us and asked us if we would be willing to help them with their project doing the powered parachutes. So they came down, they provided us a powered parachute and trained 4 of us at no cost to us. So now we have 4 pilots that fly one of those also.
And do you find the powered parachute is more or less reliable? What are the pros and cons of the powered parachute versus the powered paraglider?
The pro is definitely we can fly 2 people on the powered parachute. That is a pro, because the guy in the back can do video, photographs. We have a GPS back there. He can navigate while the pilot concentrates solely on flying.
Go ahead.
But we were able to do that with the powered paraglider also. But there's more training involved because you're doing more things while you're flying.
Do you have to, for that craft, you have to get a sport pilot license also?
Correct. If we flew it under the public use exception, we wouldn't need to, but we choose to anyway to make it a legitimate program and obviously a safer program.
Let's look at the last month, let's say the last 30 days. How many times have you used each of the different craft?
We go on patrol missions at least once a week with each craft. And then we go out on an as-needed basis. Everybody that's in this program has full-time jobs, and we fly this as needed, except for a minimum of once every week for a patrol mission. And what we found there is we get very familiar with the layout of our city, and we found things from the air that we just say, hey, that doesn't belong there.
So are you flying under the exemption over the city?
Over the city with PPGs, we are. Because we don't fly over populated areas by choice. We only do that as needed. The PPC We'll go over congested areas at times, but we try to remain over places where, in the event of a motor out, we can land.
Okay. So they're not getting that many hours. I mean, when you say as needed, can you give me an example where it came up?
Yeah, we have had a few different homicides where they wanted aerial photos of the entire scene from the air. We've done that. We've searched for stolen property. We have a large homeless population in Palm Bay where they move place to place. We use them often to spot them and find out where they're at. Sometimes, we're sympathetic to the homeless, of course, but on the other hand, sometimes when they come to an area, we find a lot of litter. The crime rate tends to rise with thefts and things like that, so we have to monitor it and balance that.
And are you on the radio with the headset?
Yeah. Yes, we have communication to the officers on the ground, to their police radios, and some other things. We have been called out many times with our SWAT team. Before they do a search warrant, we'll fly over it and do surveillance for photographs for the briefing for the search warrant.
Now, you say surveillance, but then you say photographs. Will you actually loiter and surveil it for a period?
Yeah, we've actually recently done that where it was a drug dealer. He would often park in the backyard of his house to hide his car, so they didn't know when he was home or not. So, and he would normally come home in the early morning hours. So we got up right at sunup, and we loitered over the house and saw him come in. He didn't give us a second thought. We called into the SWAT team and said he's there, and they hit the house. They found many drugs, and they arrested him.
Powered paragliding 1, drug dealer 0. Well, I suppose the drug dealers have a lot more than 0, but we got one. Good. Was that, which machine was that?
Those were the powered paragliders. We had 2 of them in the air.
And now 1 trike and 1 foot launch.
Correct.
How do you determine who does the foot launch and who does the wheels?
We tried foot launch, but for law enforcement use, we found that the learning curve on the trike is easier. So if you don't do this for recreation and you don't do it on your own often, and you're only having cops do it every now and then, the trike is the way to go.
Does that leave you as the primary foot launcher?
Right now it is, because the other foot launcher recently retired and went to another agency. So I'm in right now.
Is he going to take it with him to the other agency?
No, he had to leave it behind.
What? All right. Well, that sounds a pretty exciting one. What's some other examples? Because one problem is that we don't fly our craft in mid-afternoon, so we have a large block of days, especially in the summer. How does that limit it?
Well, it does limit it, and there's been many times where we've had to deny missions. But when the program was sold to the chief, the city manager, and our council, that was all told to them up front. Nothing was held back. We told them what it is and what it isn't. And we were told them we were going to be flying early morning and late evening, mostly early morning, and these aircraft would be for planned flights. It's not a rapid response vehicle. If somebody's chasing a car, we don't go out and try to catch them. Our county sheriff's department still has a helicopter available. If we need immediate assistance, we still call the helicopter. But if it's something that we can do at a later time, that's going to be much more inexpensive to use the powered paragliders and powered parachute than it is the helicopter, so that's what we'll do.
Certainly for planned flights. Now, what altitudes were you surveilling, and what's the range?
We try to stay at 500 feet or above over anything, and we'll only come down on an as-needed basis if we need to look at something or get a photo or anything like that. But we try to stay at least 500 feet for the respect of the citizens with the noise, and plus being at a safe altitude in the event of a motor out, we can land somewhere.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you ever worry about someone shooting at you?
No, we don't. That comes up often by citizens, believe it or not. But what I tell them is, look, I've been on the SWAT team for 12 years. I've got a much more of a chance of being shot on a search warrant than I do in the air in a paraglider. Driving around in a marked patrol car with a big thing that says police on the side, if somebody's going to shoot at a cop, it's going to be much easier to do that and try to hit us in the air. So, and a lot of people don't know who we are.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you look like you're out having fun. I doubt they can read the writing on the side of the cage.
No, they can't. You can't read it from the altitudes that we're at. And some people know, because we've been in the media. There's been mixed reviews from citizens as far as the project. Some people think it's out there, it's a waste of taxpayers' money and things like that. But at this point, we haven't paid for any equipment. In fact, even our instruction has been for free because of Scott Adair. Scott Adair has done a lot of training with us, and he's charged us nothing. He became a volunteer officially with the police department, and he does all our training.
Okay. And what do you think? Okay, so this year is the end of the free ride.
Yes.
You have any feel for whether or not the police force is going to cough up the continuance money?
Yeah, I think so far the success is going to prompt them to say this isn't something we want to give up, and we definitely want to keep it. And by the way, we were nominated for an award, and we won. The award is called the J. Robert Havlick Award, and it's for innovation in city government. There were just under 50 applications. They went to 14 independent judges throughout the country, and of the 48, our program was picked number 1 by all 14 judges.
That's cool. Good for you. Congrats.
Thanks. We go to Clearwater to accept the award on June 1st.
Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
All right, Mark Jenkins?
Renkins.
Captain Mark Renkins. Okay, thank you. Well, it's been great talking to you.
You too.
So the next time you see a cop come up, don't just assume the worst. It might be someone to check out your launch technique or others. Reporting from Panama City Beach, I'm Jeff Goin for Powered Paragliding News and Reviews. Thank you. That's cool.